5 seconds. Besides, the officers are empowered to check and to find out as to which industry is using or not using, utilizing or misusing, polluting or not polluting. That means it is a breeding ground for corruption. As I have read it, the rules and directives will follow therefrom. It is a breeding ground for corruption. This will not prevent pollution, but this will increase corruption. And nonetheless, it is difficult to check it, it is difficult to control. So, more scientific, more refined methods have to be evolved. And that is why I have said that if the minister responds to this voice here, he can do away with the increase in the water cess for domestic use. He can put a limit, and to that extent it will not increase. Para, with regard to the control of the officers who go into every detail that will encourage corruption, give more ground for corruption, and this again will be passed over to the consumers. The product will become costly. The industrialist cannot pay from their own pockets, and this will be passed over to the consumers. In that context, as I have said, it is very difficult to support it. But as it is for anti-pollution measure, it is very difficult to oppose it. But I do hope that the minister, while replying to this debate, will take into account the suggestions that I have made. Para, I support this bill, but I feel that industrial growth and growth cities has adversely affected environment. Because of water pollution and air pollution, the life has become miserable. There are enactments. Boards do function, but day by day it has become almost impossible to get potable water or unpolluted air. Para, we support this bill, but we are not sure that only raising the cess will solve the whole problem. Whatever power rests with the government or boards are not properly used. Mostly the matching grants by the state governments for central government grants have not been sanctioned by state governments. I only definitely that between 1980 and 1985 the central government was prepared to give matching grant to state governments if they take the responsibility of spending after 5 years. Some laboratory work was to be done. Some laboratory assistants were to be appointed. Many state governments did not accept the central grant, and the money which would have been useful for control of pollution was not properly used. Para, this is what has happened. So I expect from the minister that he should see to it that there is better coordination between central government and state governments as far as use of grants is concerned. Only then this will be useful. Corruption is rampant in this department, which everybody knows. The worst part of the story is that local government authorities like municipalities and corporations they have totally neglected their jobs. Para, during the past 1 year, the improvement in the liquidity situation in the banking sector has been coupled with a sluggish growth in the non-food credit, leading to a substantial fall in the prime lending rates of major banks. But this has not been followed by a corresponding fall in deposit rates. Para, the prime lending rates of major banks have come down by around 3.5 percentage points from around 16% per annum to 13.5% per annum. The corresponding fall in deposit rates has been only 1 percentage point from around 12% per annum to 11% per annum. Sources said this had already squeezed the profit margin of banks. Para, on top of this, because of the bearish capital market and low demand of consumer goods in the country, the chances of the non-performing assets going up are high. In this situation, said sources, banks would like to keep the spread between the cost of funds and the lending rates at a higher level. Para, of the total incremental deposits of rupees 36,321 crores in the first 6 months of the current fiscal, banks could lend only around rupees 5,600 crore to corporates, which is inclusive of investments in commercial papers, bonds, debentures and equities. Banks invested rupees 28,045 crore by September 26, 1997 in government securities yielding a low return of 10.5% to 11% per annum. Para, as the deposits mobilized during the last 6 months at around 11% per annum could not be lended to corporates at profitable rates, sources said. It would not be possible for them to reduce the lending rates in the near future without effecting a reduction in the cost of the funds raised so far. Para, sources said that the so-called turnaround in the credit offtake by corporates through investment route is not a very healthy development for banks. Most of these investments were towards refinancing the earlier high cost borrowings and repayment of cash draws through the cheaper commercial paper funding option. But the cost of those funds for the banks, which is being retired by corporate, remained almost the same.